right, so your child's in school. You were in school. You're learning some math. You're learning how to balance a chemical equation. But you aren't learning how to balance your checkbook. What we need to cover, what we need to teach in this video is what or how to improve students' financial literacy. That's what we'll be covering today. So one of the things we need to make sure that we are covering is the consequences of their ignorance, right? If we want to be talking about how to help students learn more, well, it's important to know the consequences of it. That gives us the why of it. Then we've got to be talking about habits and the importance of habits. And we want to be talking about how to support teachers and what the curriculum will look like and mindset and all of those things we need to kind of get an understanding of if we're going to go about how to teach kids. So that's what we'll be covering next. So let's talk seriously about the consequences of ignorance around money and managing money, understanding things like debt. Debt's a real problem. It's a real problem individually. It's a real problem societally. There are students who are coming out too, and the consequences are broad. But let's just, one area that we don't think of lots of times are things like families, children, growth, and the importance of that in society. So when kids, young people aren't getting married and they aren't having kids, your population you need to have 2.1 children per couple in order to sustain your population. Throughout America, Europe, many parts of the world, we aren't sustaining it. What are some of the reasons behind that? Well, they're multifaceted, but having young adults, myself, I know there's a lot of financial concerns in the debt kids are coming out of college with. And without understanding all that and having a real handle on it, there's fear about getting married and having kids and not being able to afford it all. So the consequences are broad. And when people are accumulating debt, the societal impact on that debt and defaulting on the debt has broad economic consequences. So there's so many dominoes that fall when young people aren't taught about financial literacy. In psychology, sociology, those fields we talk about, like the imprint period in human development, 0 to 7. A lot of these fundamental beliefs are picked up really before young children really understand that they're picking them up, and they pick them up through observations and the experiences, what they're modeling. So early on, they are picking up these senses about money, and these habits begin to be formed based on these beliefs and these experiences that you're watching and how to deal with that. So at an early age, little things that you can do to begin to teach money habits. Allowances, right? Something that through my years teaching, began to realize that a lot of kids nowadays weren't taught money because they never really had an allowance and they never had to budget their allowance. And when they did have allowance, it was just something automatically given to them versus something that they had to earn through simple little chores depending on the age of your child. Well, all of that very simple, what used to be a pretty traditional thing for parents to do, money habits are beginning to be learned. That's where I began to learn them, right? Kind of keep track of my allowance and my saving, put some of them in my little piggy bank, right? And do all those sort of things. Those habits begin at an early age and are lifelong. There's a lot of movement about beginning to mandate financial literacy as part of graduation requirements. And as states have begun to do that, there's like 24 of them now that require it. They're beginning to find that it does pay off. So some of these challenges of things like debt, which is a big one, diminish when kids graduate having this financial literacy or passing the financial literacy test. So showing that they understand some of these basic foundational principles about managing their paychecks and managing their money. The only way you really can ensure that you get there is by making it, standardizing it as part of your curriculum. Like, you got to, in order to graduate and get your diploma, you need 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 3 of science, whatever it is, 2 years of financial literacy. You have to meet these tests. Whatever they decide, just having it as part of like a mandated part of a high school curriculum has positive benefits for society and obviously for the individual. What's one of the challenges, the biggest challenges with schools mandating all that? It's finding qualified teachers to teach it. A lot of adults don't have financial literacy skills. So if they don't really feel comfortable with the knowledge themselves, how are they really going to teach it, right? As a teacher, you need to have a certain level of confidence in your subject matter to teach it well. The more confident you are, the more your students pick up on that, and the more creative that you can begin to get. And all those things factor into your own beliefs about what you know and how to go about teaching it. Now, it doesn't mean teachers can't get that, and that's part of what systems, school districts and all would need to say. Listen, we need to mandate this. Is there anybody who's willing to step up and learn some of this stuff? That there are things that I went out to learn because, you know what, I really should teach this. So I want to make sure I'm really up on it and understand it. And some of it was some of these financial literacy things because I felt my students needed to know that. So, we put that on teachers and we give them the materials and the resources to help them any way we can. Professional development, whatever those means are. So that's the first piece of this, right, is helping teachers feel confident and have the knowledge. Then it is helping them understand how to build the curriculum, right? So whatever we want to make sure goes on here is in the process of learning and gaining knowledge. We really want to help the students build some of the habits and the working knowledge, how to apply this. So as you build the curriculum, the more real life you can make it. And there's quite a few apps available. There are online programs available that will give you data on things like rent and insurance costs and food costs from different places around the country. You can find those, access those. There are things like the stock market game. The more you can incorporate games and these apps and real living into the actual lessons and making it something experiential, it's going to go so much more valuable for the students. It's going to be so much more real. You can be building the habits into it. So the teachers need to not just get the knowledge, but they need to have the curriculum base and the ideas and the access to the resources to really incorporate this in a real life kind of scenario. The last thing I want to mention, of course, it is me after all, the Mindset Mentor, is mindset. Now, teachers, we've talked about their training, the curriculum, in the context of financial understanding and knowledge, and using these apps and these games and these activities and all these things to teach the financial skills. There also needs to be an understanding about how to help students identify beliefs that they have versus good money management beliefs. What are the beliefs that people who really have created wealth for themselves, who manage their money well, who invest wisely, all these kinds of things, what are the beliefs that they have? Those are beliefs we need to help students adopt. It begins with awareness, but there's also an understanding of how you go about helping them shift beliefs when they have a limiting belief or they have limiting emotions around concepts like wealth and poverty. How do you go about helping them shift that? And it's more than just knowledge, but that's an aspect that teachers need to have and understand. They don't need to be experts in psychology and behavioral modeling and behavioral programs like I have a whole lot of knowledge in that area. No, there's very simple things they can learn to do to help students shift their thinking and just incorporate that into their teaching practices. That ended today's video. And once again, please consider subscribing to my channel. Just, click that button down there, get subscribed. There's a lot of different videos that we have out there. In particular, in this series, you might be interested in the video, which is the first step in financial literacy. Delve into the most important step in my view. Then you watch that, you can watch another, and another, and another, and come back and see us. I'll see you in the next video.